people might be like, how is she telling him I love you to an inmate, a murderer? John Turscak told me, and I could go into his story, but he said, I might be a cold-blooded murderer, but I'm no liar.
Good evening, listeners, brave navigators of the enigmatic and the concealed. Have you ever felt the pull of the unanswered, the allure of the mysteries that shroud our existence? For more than a decade, a unique comic publisher has dared to dive into these mysteries, unafraid of the secrets they might uncover. This audacious entity is Paranoid American. Welcome to the mystifying universe of the Paranoid American podcast.
Launched in the year 2012, Paranoid American has been on a mission to decipher the encrypted secrets of our world. From the unnerving enigma of MK-Ultra mind control to the clandestine assemblies of secret societies. From the awe-inspiring frontiers of forbidden technology to the arcane patterns of occult symbols in our very own pop culture. They have committed to unveiling the concealed realities that lie just beneath the surface. Join us as we navigate these intricate landscapes, decoding the hidden scripts of our society and challenging the accepted perceptions of reality.
Folks, I've got a big problem on my hands. There's a company called Paranoid American making all these funny memes and comics. Now, I'm a fair guy. I believe in free speech, as long as it doesn't cross the line. And if these AI-generated memes dare to make fun of me, they're crossing the line.
This is your expedition into the realm of the extraordinary, the secret, the shrouded. Come with us as we sift through the world's grand mysteries, question the standardized narratives, and brave the cryptic labyrinth of the concealed truth. So strap yourselves in, broaden your horizons, and steel yourselves for a voyage into the enigmatic heart of the Paranoid American podcast, where each story, every image, every revelation brings us one step closer to the elusive truth.
What do bees, cats, and George Floyd have to do with each other? We're going to find out today with Maryam Henein. And if you don't know what her name is, you'll definitely know by the end of this. You've got some incredibly influential work that's already been seen by lots of people internationally, like millions and millions of viewers at this point. So humbly, thank you so much for coming and talking to me today. You've got some outstanding work, some incredibly controversial work, and I think one of the most interesting parts is that you've been embraced and maybe even rejected by like all different polarities of society, political groups and social movement groups, and what a unique perspective that you've kind of got. This is Paranoid American Podcast. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Thomas. Happy to be here. It's interesting because it's like in some circles I'm famous and in some circles I'm hella offensive, and my work is internationally known, but I am arguably one of the most censored real journalists in this country.
Well, I think what most people know you as is a crew member on 2004, the Catwoman movie, right? Isn't that pretty much your claim to fame?
People know me for Vanishing Bees.
I'm just kidding. Yeah,
I know. Although people thought I was related to Halle Berry, I have stories about that too. When I was still in Hollywood, still in the Matrix.
Well, what did you do on the Catwoman movie? It's on your IMDb profile as crew member with a certain role that I've never even heard the name of before.
What is it? What's the role?
It says like, I'm on the spot now. It says like Pitoss or like.
No, I was the assistant to the director, and Pitoff is French, and I got the job on Warner Brothers because my first language is actually French, and so I was his personal assistant during the reshoots, because they did reshoots. Anyone who saw the Halle Berry version of Catwoman, the best thing was the intro, which was not done by Warner Brothers. So it was very interesting to see what they do to a first-time director, because the producers pretended that they were creatives and there were so many cooks in the kitchen. And I'll share that when one of the first times I met him, he took me to a Hollywood party. So here we are with Jude Law and other celebs. And then on the way home, he dropped me off. I was living in 90068, I believe, like basically in in the hood in Hollywood. And I remember he dropped me off and he put his hand on my knee, and I just, like a Tourette syndrome, I'm like, I'm not going to sleep with you. And but after that we became besties. You know, he respected me, and I wasn't going to play this Hollywood game, which is probably why I didn't advance in my career in production, because I was an extra when I first came to Los Angeles. I lived in California for 23 years from Montreal, Canada.
What other uncredited stuff have you worked on that doesn't show up on your IMDb?
Well, I haven't looked at the IMDb, and they have scrubbed me, and the Ministry of Truth has messed with my credits. But I my first job was working for MSNBC as a journalist. I also worked at the Ventura County Star covering technology. I had a short stint there, and I was a stand-in for Jennifer Love Hewitt, although her caboose is nowhere like mine. I have a cute little ass. And I definitely don't have her boobies. So, but I was her stand-in. I've done some stand-in work, and got to see, I've just been a little bee on the wall. I was also at the deadly insurrection in Rudy Giuliani's hotel room. And so a lot of different, I've had quite the adventurous life, I must say.
What does that last part mean about Rudy Giuliani's? Explain that. I don't know if I caught
the day of the deadly insurrection.
Mm-hmm.
The day after, it just so happened I was with Zach Voorhees, and that morning I told him today's going to be a historical day. And I was listening to the hearings, and then I saw people starting to go to the Capitol because I was going to go cover and possibly speak where Mickey Willis and Charlene Bollinger and Zach were going to be speaking, but that all went to hell. And I was in the VIP area thanks to Ali Akbar. So I was very close to Trump. And I remember like, you're behind Bulletproof today. What's the deal? And then I was looking for Zach, and I ended up as the first tear gas as a real journalist. And I was looking at people making eye contact, and they would look down. I'm like, so I can energetically scan people. And I was like, these are not patriots. Who the fuck are these people? And then, I mean, there was scaffolding, which became very appropriate for people to start climbing. There was a Waldo. Oh, Where's Waldo? Where's Antifa? Wink, wink. And then
you mean like a guy dressed up with the sweater and the glasses and the cane,
like at a festival.
Was there a wizard and a dog there too? Do you know?
I didn't see the wizard. There was some circus characters that were not Patriot MAGA-esque, and I was looking for someone because I wanted to go in the veranda, not inside. And I didn't want to get tear gassed again. I'm a little woman. And so I was scanning people. And then the person I scanned, I was like, this guy looks solid, but he wasn't a big guy. It ended up being a guy named Jason Fuentes, who did security for Trump. And he goes, you want to go in near the veranda. So I looked for patterns, and I saw people wearing green, and I hear things too. It's like, wear a green cap, wear a green backpack, just like on a set when you're talking to the extras and telling them their costumes. And there was someone to my left, and I said, what do you think was going to be accomplished with all this violence? And the guy was like, we have to clear the swamp. And it sounded like he was talking like lines. And I said, do you think that this is like an episode of Game of Thrones or something? And Jason just so happened to run out of memory on his phone. I just happened to be a journalist. And so I filmed him. And then the next day he told me, Rudy wants that footage. So I found myself in Rudy Giuliani's hotel room. And when I walked in, there was Millie and there was Tori. And the first thing I thought to myself, is this just going to end up a fucking documentary? And that night, Rudy used my footage. Hi, Rudy. Never gave me any fucking credit or money or anything. And then the next year he used my credit again, but because I didn't trademark my footage. So yeah, I wrote about the elections, quote, and I wrote about the deadly insurrection.
Well,
Yeah.
your trajectory here is kind of wild, right? So it starts out
I'm not.
extra in Hollywood, getting some production credits in Hollywood, and then seeing maybe that it's a hellscape of just like pure demons. And then all of a sudden you work on this documentary called The Vanishing of the Bees, which gets international critical acclaim. Like the reviews on this thing, must see, fantastic, world changing. Like this was like a major movement.
I
It's
mean, I
kind of started a
co-directed it. I
movement.
produced it. Yeah, it was a seminal film translated in 13 languages, narrated by Ellen Page before she was even a lesbian, let alone the poster child for transgenderism.
Let's not dead name Elliot, he him.
Well, it's dead named on my poster unless Hollywood wants
How
to
dare you?
fall for
That's hate speech. So
Yeah,
you're lucky you're not in Canada right now.
exactly. Yeah, she's Canadian. She's Canadian, or he, or Elliot.
Where did you get? How do we bridge from working on Catwoman and getting all these uncredited extra roles to now you're creating and behind the Vanishing of the Bees documentary that's got international acclaim? Like, what were the steps there? What did you care about bees the entire time and you've always been working towards it, or did you just kind of stumble across this topic at the right time?
Well, the reason why I did extra work, obviously, La La Land is alluring before. I mean, I've been on a spiritual journey since I was 13 and knew a lot of things about metaphysics, knowingly, unknowingly, but I was pretty naive. I quit my job at MSNBC because I was disgusted with the way in which they cover the news. And I also found that I was producing the news for online at a time where it was the advertising department that was in charge of our little crew instead of the actual news desk. And I was there around the time that Princess Diana died in the tunnel. And I actually was pitching stories to Access Hollywood because my good friend at the time befriended the imposter to Dodi Fayed. And I had the scoop. And then I was at the wires. I was usually covered the evening news, and I have access to the wires. And I had like a meeting with Access Hollywood Monday, and Friday was a Friday, or it was during the weekend, and she was dead. And I was like, oh my God, like, why couldn't you wait till after I had this? This was going to be my breaking story. I mean, it's a very juicy story of this guy who went all over North America and pretended to be Dodi Fayed and slept with girls and fooled a lot of people. I don't know how he got his money. Anyway, I left NBC Channel 4, and I started pitching. I was writing freelancing as a professional for LA Magazine, LA Weekly, Detour, Penthouse, The Hollywood Reporter. They were always my ideas. And I was living the life of a hustling freelance journalist. And then I got hit by an SUV and dragged 50 feet across the cement at age 29. And I had to learn how to walk again. Anyone who's seen me dancing. So because I almost died, I wanted to be in service. And then the bees literally flew into my life. I was friends with George Langworthy, the co-director, and we wanted to collaborate. And he came and told me, this was 2006, the bees are disappearing. And I took an afternoon to look into honeybees. And when I found out that they're a sisterhood, that they stand for the divine feminine, that they make life a sweeter place, I dedicated the next 5 years of my life. And I knew I'm a visionary, and I knew that it was going to be an important movie. And it was beautiful 5 years. I traveled all over the world. I wanted to make an international film to show the impact of colony collapse. So because I speak French, I took to the main beekeepers, I took them to France and I introduced them, and I was the translator between them and the beekeepers there. I filmed on top of the opera. I mean, it was a beautiful time. I really, for a long time, thought that if I work hard, I can make a name for myself. But then I reached the glass ceiling. So because of the Vanishing of the Bees, after it came out, I was in the Dominican Republic at an environmental film festival with the person who I would create honeycolony.com with. And they were spraying for chemical. They were fumigating. And I thought it was a leaf blower. I went to tell them to shut it the fuck off. And the guy turned towards me and I got sprayed by chemicals. And so not only, I had a metal rod in my leg, a 13-inch metal titanium rod in my left femur, which I fought to remove, like 99% of people don't. And so I removed the rod, and I really, my body exploded after the trauma. So I was an early adopter to not eating gluten in 2006, and just started a path when I got sprayed by chemicals and I went to the doctor and they're like, you have lupus, you have fibromyalgia. Here's some prednisone. There's no cure. Bye. And I said, oh yeah, watch me, fuckers. Watch me. And so I reversed my lupus and I took matters into my own hands. And today I'm an accredited in functional medicine. I'm 52. And it's about time that I make some money off of what the fuck I do to be healthy. And people can improve their health. Anyone that comes into my life improves their health. It's just a matter of whether they have the discipline. Luckily, I have 6 planets in Capricorn, and I refuse to allow the system to poison me because I studied the food supply and the shit that they put. So that's kind of like the bridge where I dedicated my life after almost losing mine to being in service. And I've just never been driven by money. I haven't poured out my soul.
I don't think you're allowed to not do what the doctors tell you. Like once they've given you their advice, you kind of have to do what they tell you. Otherwise, you're rejecting society. You don't want to do that.
It's too late. I'm a Trinity. I identify with Trinity. I'm so not in the Matrix. I'm part of the new Earth. I was joking that when I finished my George Floyd book, and I spent another 5 years of my life covering the Rona regime and transhumanism and George Floyd. And I was joking that I was going to have my own fucking great reset because I put myself on the back burner. And that's why I do get angry, because now people are brain damaged and I'm a real hero. And people, I know I minored in psychology. I know how it is. It's like, oh, I go and step on a platform, on a stage, and now you want to hear what I have to say. It's all optics. And so they've done a really good job. I mean, they smeared me, Thomas, on Shadowland, a 6-part series by Peacock, the very fucking channel that I started my career at, smeared me in a 6-part series about people that supposedly believe in a shadow government. And it was a humiliation.
This is called Shadow Band or Shadowland?
No, Shadowland.
Shadowland. Okay, I've never even heard of this. And you got your own episode, or what? They featured.
I'm 6 of the 7 episodes.
Oh, congratulations! It's awesome.
Not really. It's a humiliation. I thought good publicity is bad publicity. Any publicity. Mm-hmm. So you have a premiere. You've made projects. You invite people that are in the docuseries, right? It was in DC. I wasn't going to go back to DC. And they didn't invite in any case, like Christopher Key, Vaccine Police, Zach Voorhees was in it. But I'm smeared arguably the most because I'm the most accomplished, to be honest, in the bevy of people they covered. So they didn't invite any of the people that participated in the documentary. These people were showing up with black face diapers on sets. They tried to get me to, this was during the Rona, they tried to get me to take my temperature or get nostril raped, which I said I'm not doing that. They followed me because I left from San Francisco, where I was staying with Zach, and just bought a one-way ticket to Miami to get the FOA because I had to show my vaccine card and I couldn't do yoga. And San Francisco is a horrible place to be. In any case, so at the premiere, they had Fauci. They didn't tell me that the Atlantic, which is a CIA outfit, was co-producing this with a production company called Radical Media for
they sponsor this show.
Sorry? Who does?
Oh, they're our biggest sponsor. Yeah, shout out.
To who?
Radical Media, all the names you just said. Pretty much just the Soros organization in general.
Right. I'm in good hands then. So.
Absolutely. Well, hold on. I want to ask you too, because at the height of Vanishing of the Bees, I assume that you're like a celebrity, not just in the world of bees and just in the world of documentaries, but there's an environmental cause that's perceived that goes right alongside that, which also kind of has, in my own bias, I guess, but usually political, climate change, preserve nature tends to fall in like a liberal area. And then you have Elliot Page or Ellen Page, we'll say Elliot, in part of your movie, like it has a very specific political swing. If someone was like, oh, there's the bee lady that made this documentary series about saving bees, you almost get a very specific mental image as an American. And it's not someone that ends up making a George Floyd documentary later on too. So like when you're in the thick of in this Vanishing of the Bees, first of all, you said you hit like a glass ceiling. Like, what does that look like exactly? Because you're sort of on the ride in order to become like a huge name and have all kinds of big projects. So when you hit the glass ceiling, like what happened and how did you recognize it?
Yeah, I want to just finish that at the just
please
say that at the premiere, Fauci was there. They had a soiree to celebrate the legacy of Fauci, and Fauci's about to watch me on the screen. So they have the whatever Q&A or whatever commemoration. They break for happy hour, and now they're tipsy watching the first episode of Shadowland, and that the entire event was brought to you by Pfizer. Like, I couldn't write this shit any better because it's a big F you to Maryam. So as far as, I was talking to Bill Maher about going on his show.
Wonderful man. Beautiful mind.
To speak about Vanishing of the Bees. And Bill donated. He was one of the only who didn't charge us for footage for Vanishing of the Bees. So I did see myself as a liberal but when there was the movement to, TSD, and they were just shitting on Trump, I got really turned off because I'm like, who wants to fucking be filled with hate? And knowing that he's chosen because he's so polarizing. So that was, plus I didn't see climate change as I do now. So I was part of that group. And let's say Inconvenience Truth was influential, Al Gore's film, and we were compared to as important since Inconvenient Truth, and now having a complete different view on climate change. I think first and foremost, being dedicated to the truth, no matter where it leads, to be like, oh, I've made a mistake. But because of following health and wellness, because of my personal foray, that's in 2011, I launched honeycolony.com, and honeycolony.com was getting 500,000 unique visitors a month from my journal, my writing, my team, my mind. And I had my business partner, who is also a genius in his own right. And I became one of the first to sell CBD. Well, it turns out, the politics of CBD was a Schedule 1 along with heroin. And it turned out that GW Pharma, that put out the fake shit CBD, Epidiolex, had a partnership with Bayer. So I say, what are the chances of sharing bees and bud in common with Bayer? But so I got my first death threat while I was making Vanishing of the Bees by a Florida state entomologist who said, you better watch your tires. And he ended up going to work for Monsanto, which then became Bayer. So he was basically warning me about his future employer. Looking back now, there were fake or beekeepers that are really on the payroll of Bayer that were following me on shoots and antagonizing me, but I was very naive. So prior
was this
to
related to
ruined
you?
after the Rona, everything went to fucking hell. So sorry, go ahead.
If you're getting, say, like tailed by big pharma, is this because of you dabbling in CBD, or is this because of your work in bees, or both?
Because of me. It's because of everything. I don't look my age. I'm intelligent. English isn't even my first language. My mind, I have an unusual mind. I see things and I speak out because I thought, just like George Orwell, who would have thought that saying the truth would be a revolutionary? So people think I'm bold, but it's like, hey, someone has to say there's a big fucking elephant in the room. Someone has to play that role, right? So leading up to the Rona, I was covering vaccine safety, and I was making good money, $3,000 a day with my company. And then there was the Google Medic update. And at first we thought we were doing something wrong and we're scratching our heads. And then an SEO, a colleague that does SEO, said that there were several algorithmic changes. All right. So I'm on a very special intersection of health, politics, vaccines, just kind of watching things. And I know now, leading up to the Rona, that this was all for the Rona, these algorithmic changes, that they were going to punish people that make money that fall under your money, your life. That if I'm trying to make money by improving your life, that's no longer acceptable. So trudging along, still freelancing, not so much in the mainstream. And I actually wrote an article about the politics of CBD, and I covered what was going on because I was on the front lines selling CBD, literally one of the first. And that's when I got my first ban on YouTube in 2017 for CBD. And I got banned on PayPal. I was one of the first in 2017 for selling CBD. And then
just selling it, or making specific claims, or just that you were taking money for it?
Just selling it. I mean, now I was making, I then ended up having to create a separate company, simplytransformative.com, which I'm trying to sell. And I was making $60,000 a month. And the day of the deadly insurrection, I landed in DC. Nothing had happened. And Square, which is Dorsey, they disconnected us, even though I was part of a beta CBD. Prior to that, I was shut down by all the processors. And I was put on a match list, which is when you're doing fraud. They even took my PayPal, my personal PayPal. I've never sold CBD on my personal PayPal. So they banned me on GoFundMe, yo. They banned me. There was a micro, a site called, I think, Kiva, and they had given us $10,000. They scrubbed my $10,000 alone because they wanted nothing to do with CBD. Like, now that everyone, Martha Stewart and Kim Kardashian, everyone and their mother sells CBD, it's crap CBD. I sell an organic liposomal with Chinese herbs on simplytransformative.com. And so I wrote a story on the politics of CBD. Now, this is 2018 for Marie Claire. Yay! The mainstream's taking my work again. Because like you said, I could be a celebrity, right? Am I missing anything? They actually put that fucking line in Shadowland that I said, am I missing something? Am I ugly on the eyes? Can't string the sentence together? And they took it and they framed me as I'm wanting fame, which is not true. I want to be credited for my brilliance and for my work, for my hard work. So Marie Claire accepted the article. I had to dumb it down for their audience, fine, because I changed my voice depending on the publication. And it was approved. Now it was legal. So they called me at my landline in Los Angeles, and they said this: what are your personal views on vaccines? What? This is a story about CBD, mofos. What the fuck are you asking me? They
And
had
what year is this?
Colony. This is 2017.
Interesting.
So looking back, they were paving the way. The algorithms. I've done a whole presentation on ways to collaborate that this was a pandemic. I was also writing for Care 2, and I've shared this before. Thousands of articles on alternative health, hippie, just alternative health. And 2018, got an email, and it was a great gig. I could go and sign up. I could pitch my ideas. And they said, you have like X amount, like, I don't know, 2 weeks to save all your articles. They were deleting, not archiving. They were deleting everything. Why? Because God forbid you're staying at home and you come across an article. I think I need some sunlight, or I need some. So they were scrubbing and they were getting ready. So they couldn't have someone like me. So now the Rona hits, and I'm a journalist. I just want to cover what the fuck is happening. I took Zach and went to Costa Rica 6 days before the country. He used to make fun of me because I was saying medical martial law, medical martial law. I had been covering vaccines since 2012. I took him 6 days before the country shut down. And while I was in Costa Rica, before I left, I did a man on the street with Zach for Alex Jones. I told Zach, let's do it on the Rona. There's no one's talking about the Rona. Nobody knows what the coronavirus. No one's wearing masks except people in China that were coming to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And this was before the Oscars. And I say, if you see the clip, I say, I'm calling this the virus that didn't cry wolf. And I could read Zach's thoughts of like, what the fuck does she mean? Yeah, this is what I meant. What they were going to pretend to and bamboozle the entire planet, tried to warn people. And that's when I really started getting censored. So, Venmo, Vimeo, PayPal, GoFundMe, Instacart, Airbnb, smeared on national television, persecuted not once, but twice by the government, because in March 2020, the FDA, the FTC, the DOJ launched Operation Quack Hack. Nobody even knows. That's why they went after Alex. That's why they went after Mark Brennan, who has a church and was donating chlorine dioxide. And then they found me because of the man on the street with Zach. They shut me down. I had a CFO months ago evaluate my company, go, wow, what were you doing in March 2020? You're making so much money. I was selling silver, my chelated silver Excelsior that has saved a lot of people, and they came after me for silver. And now I offer it. I had to abide by the overlords of the FDA. And that's when I started getting censored. So yeah, I'm upset because I stood for other people. I've shown more courage than most men in this country. Fact. So yeah.
It looks like you jump from hot potato to hot potato a little bit, even if you don't realize it.
I know, I realize it.
And it's funny because as you're describing the CBD, like you're part of this initial ban on CBD because it's this evil, horrible Schedule 1 drug, which is funny because now when I fly to states where there's not even a medical marijuana law, like it's still banned, they have CBD pills and gummies in the airports, like the most regulated place in these areas where it's still, they've got their own version of CBD.
Yeah. They're all isolates and they're all crap. And cannabis is a bioremediating plant, so it pulls heavy metals. They used it in Chernobyl to clean the soil. So yeah, I do jump around. It is all connected though. And I am a Gemini moon, a fast little butterfly mind. But I was just mentioning the government came after me twice, one for Operation Quack Hack and because of CBD. And now I'm banned. I'm even banned on Bumble, Thomas. Get it? Be lady banned on Bumble? Nice joke.
Do you have any unburned bridges in the liberal climate bee communities, or have they all been burned?
I don't know. I haven't checked to see if they're burned, to be honest. I mean, I used to have my head it was shaved, and I looked, I could pass for a lot of different things. So I don't know, actually. I can tell you that I went to a spiritual event in Delray on the weekend, and I'm surprised at how many spiritual people took the vaccine. And it's just like I was in San Francisco and I went to do acupuncture. So I went to this acupuncturist and she's like, "Are you fully vaccinated?" And I said, "Are you an acupuncturist? What the fuck is going on here?" So I think a lot of people fell for this jib jab, and there's unconscious denial. That's why I made a PSA called "Admit You're Wrong." It's funny. I did it with Courtney Turner. I think it's brilliant. And just admit you're wrong. It's okay. You fell for Rockefeller medicine. Just admit you're wrong.
I don't know if we're gonna ever see that because it's such a massive thing. And I guess in my mind, it's so massive that if someone were to admit they were wrong, now you have to call into question everything that modern science and therefore everything that modern academia has ever suggested to you for your entire life. And not to mention that the Rockefellers themselves, until they die, the Rockefellers that enacted the Rockefeller system, which was originally to standardize medicine, they themselves basically just took homeopathy the entire time. They didn't even use their own system that they enacted, which I always thought is kind of silly. But this thing with whether or not people got the COVID vaccine, right? Originally, I can't understand it. It was the most controversial thing you ever could have said on the internet. There was no other thing that was such an instant way to get removed from platforms, have all of your money accounts and payments completely canceled. Like, I've never seen an iron on the fire that was this hot that if you touched it, it would immediately burn all the way through your hand. Unlike almost any other, which what I'll call conspiracy theory or even sort of controversial claims, this seemed to be at the top, and it stayed at the top for like 3 or 4 years. And I feel that with as much momentum as the government and all the industries and all the entertainment industry put behind this, there's a large portion of people that'll just never be able to accept the fact that Hollywood and government and medicine and academia all lied to them. That just is.
They're living a lie. They're living a lie. And if you're spirituality is about your shadow, is about really going deep within and being able to say sorry and put your fucking ego aside, which is not to be confused with my confidence. Because I can say, hey, I'm a very sweet woman. I'm hardened by PTSD. So that it's happened more than once that I'm at a spiritual event and I share my trauma of being my livelihood being attacked. And then, oh, that's really intense. Your energy. Oh, you're a fake and gay spiritual person. Well, I'm sorry. I carry the fucking divine sword of truth. And you're just going to come back in here and do it over again and again. And now there's a transhumanist agenda, and the escape hatch to leave here and not come back is very thin. So if someone wants to just be, consume and just, there's no shortage of people. It's a very narrow, that's why Jesus called it the narrow path. The pious path that I'm on is to remember my past lives, to remember that I've been killed by Christians and sound like I'm out there. Who cares? Robert Edward Grant is claiming that his AI went sentient in the pyramids of Kafir and is saying that he was part of Atlantis. So all bets are off under the age of Aquarius. Be yourself, be authentic. And I'm a very grounded, reasonable woman. And I am dedicated to truth and nothing but the truth.
Are you religious?
No. I was raised Coptic Christian. And I believe in a divine source. I believe in a higher power. But I know that the divine feminine was taken away from all the religions. And I'm a big fan of John Lash's book, Not in His Image, that talks about the Sophia. Where is the divine feminine? The truth, the biggest thing they don't want you to know is your innate divinity. So as a yogi, I never really gravitated to Kundalini, but I knew that it's like they're dedicating their whole life for this Kundalini. And I had one spontaneously. So I know that all my psychic skills amped up. I was already sensitive, and that I remember. This is a time of remembrance. And I remember. So maybe I resonate with Jupiter Jones in the movie Jupiter Rising, which is also Jupiter ascending, seemingly a Mandela effect. That she's a maid, but she's really a galactical queen. That's how I feel.
It's that movie's got panned response, but there's so much symbolism in that one. Do you have any other like favorite Hollywood movies that you think stand out in similar ways?
I have a lot of. I love.
Give me a top 5 or top 10, whatever sounds good.
Spotless, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind adaptation. Charlie Kaufman is genius. I mean, I watch. I don't have a TV, but I do watch sci-fi, and maybe some other ones will come up. But definitely, like now, I had watched Westworld season 1 and 2. And it's apropos that I'm watching 3 and 4 now, because there's a lot of, the predictive programming. But I'd say Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and there's some other movies. Anything with symbolism, with truth in it.
You mentioned a little bit earlier too, before we started recording, that you've been infiltrated by Procter and Gamble. Like, and if you're going to be infiltrated by someone, that's a great one to be infiltrated by. So how did that go?
Well, they almost destroyed my company. And I've had several bad actors that just give a fuck about money and are not really aligned. And I'm the kind of person like, make yourself at home. So I've empowered people, and it's like, empower them, Maryam. And it's like, here, let me empower you to sodomize me. Yay. So these women approached me on Upwork, Olympus Marketing, and they said that they were into minority ethnic companies and that they liked what I was doing. And I thought that they were normies, and she was frying her body with chemo, and same age as me, looks like she's 70. After my Kundalini, I'm like, oh, she's projecting her core wound of I'm not enough onto me. So we had a meeting. I had an investor, and I had a fake spiritual, a supposed friend that I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars for say, Maryam, you've been effed over. Let me advocate for you. And she had more connection. She had more. She spoke to my investor more than me. I trusted her. These women were feminists. They were woke, but I didn't know that then. I'll get to that. And we had a meeting, and they said, I'm a biohacker. I have a lot of affiliates. And they said, we could do a partnership with Procter and Gamble. And, I don't think I said this out loud. Why don't we fucking do it with Pfizer while we're at it? What the fuck are you talking about? And I still thought she was a normie, even though she's like drinking Fanta and openly saying that she's doing fentanyl because the doctor gave it to her, so it's okay. And they were literal. So when I said, no, I'm not going to do a partnership with Procter and Gamble, they destroying my company. Like $60,000. We're saying that we're shipping out this product, but we're letting it collect dust. We're mislabeling another $20,000 of product. We're making all your social media into bland, ChatGPT bland like us, where I'm not bland by any stretch of the imagination. And I went to the investor. I had my Kundalini then, and I was like, I think these women are just here for the money. And I've been with narcissists, and I have narcissistic abuse scars. And never again will I gaslight myself, my ancient soul, over these normie people and allow people and share my honey. No, it's like, what are you going to do to earn your way here? But I've given a lot of my pearls to swine. So I went to the investor and I said, I think these women are just here for your money. Oh, you're being dramatic. They were intercepting emails. then my intuition was like, the bitch is reading my emails. I'm going to write this email. She's not going to be able to help herself. I'll come into my web, bitch. And then
so now you start writing emails just to get the attention, just to like plant some seeds to see if they're reading
just
them.
to see if I because I had a feeling that she intercepted. I went to my old marketer because they tanked my sales they tanked it to $4,000 a month. I told you I was making $3,000 a day back in the heyday, and nothing's changed. It's not like my products have changed, right? It's just fucking censorship and algorithmic and bad actors. And these women were not the first bad actors. So I finally got my marketer on with I foiled her plans, and they left me on the heels of Christmas. I mustered up the courage. I seem like I have a lot of, but I had to muster up the courage to say, this seemingly feels like sabotage. You are delusional, which is violent communication and abusive. Then they deleted the entire Slack because they weren't, I get phrases. They're not gonna bite the hand that feeds them. So they were kissing ass to the investors' IT, acting like, they're proper, right? Maryam's not proper. She's emotional. It's okay, honey. You keep your emotions inside. You're festering with cancer and doing chemo. So then this is the kicker, that they wrote me an email and they said, one of the reasons that we're leaving is that you are offensive to the gay community because you say the word fake and gay. To which I said, I'm the writer, honey. I'm the one who knows entomology. Let me just tell you that gay comes from the 12th century Germanic origin and means full of mirth and showy. And I am not bowing to the virus of wokeism. Anyway, they left. I'm still here.
Dude, I mean, it seems like you could still have doors open. You could go back into that community as a reformed, like, I'm so sorry that I cared about George Floyd and I said anything about the Rona, accept me back, and I'll, like, you've got that opportunity. Like you could go.
I don't need that. I'm going to manifest and attract. I just want to deal with people that are in their heart and have a heart left, because they created a bioweapon to weaken the heart grid of this entire world, and that are not in their ego and that are aligned with my mission and vision at honeycolleen.com. I'm not going back to do what? I fake it? Like, I can't fake it. I'm a wild card. I'm bound. I'm sure they have my insights, that they know that I have to I can't pretend. Let's just say I'm a performer. I mean, I do voices and I'm a dancer and I took theater, but I'm not fake and gay.
So what was the point of the vaccine? I mean, you mentioned weakens the heart, and but like, what do you think the ultimate nefarious bad guy plan would have been behind it?
Well, they put there was tons of different batches, and in 2020. June 2020, Thomas, they had literally a symposium to discuss the pros and cons of bypassing animals in the face of an emergency. That means you're the fucking guinea pig. And so it was a big experiment.
Operation Warp Speed, right? That's basically the premise.
Well, there was some batches no one wants to talk about the graphene. No one wants to talk about the nano. So the real agenda is this operating system that is going to parlay with the 5G. It was February 2020. Maryam made a link between Wuhan, 5G, Charles Lieber, graphene, 10 minutes gone on Twitter. And now Sabrina Wallace is finally, people are listening to Sabrina Wallace. So it's to create a bioweapon that attacks the heart, when I know that the heart is so much more powerful than the mind. The amazingness of the heart, the Christ consciousness, the heart is like a furnace. You can alchemize. I've in the past year have gone on a big journey, and I'm still working on it, because I was on a Twitter space. You sound angry. Well, people are fucking dumb, and my livelihood has been decimated. So yeah, I'm angry. What can I say? I admit it. But I'm also sweet, and it depends what I'm talking about. I'm a lot of things. I'm just not fake and gay. So I don't want to really repenetrate the left or the right. I see the truth. I'm very grateful for where God has put me. Like I said, a little bee on the wall. And then, add in George Floyd. Like, so again, vaccine safety plus transhumanism plus George Floyd equals no bueno for the bee lady. No bueno.
Yeah, it's kind of a wild trajectory, and you started to explain how you got to George Floyd, that it started with sort of vaccine propaganda, that this was like the first time that you got your spidey sense, I'll call, was kind of tingling a little bit. And then it seems that between your 2023 movie about George Floyd, which was called The Real Timeline, and now the 2025 book, Operation George Floyd, that this particular topic was also important to go all in on. Like, what was it about George Floyd in particular that like culminates what started as you being apprehensive about vaccine news?
No, I was chosen to write this book. If anyone's familiar with Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert, the idea that something is in the collective, and I know nobody, I could plop this on someone's desk. Like the dude who stabbed Derek is RESPCT, Mama B. I could plop this and be like, did you write this? Fuck no, shut the fuck up. That's how I feel. I did this to prove to myself. I had no idea, Thomas. So I've been covering vaccine safety since 2012. I've been covering biohacking. I've been covering functional medicine and all the things that I learned to empower people to be their own best health advocate. Now I was in the jungle covering the Rona with Zach, and it's May 25th. And he's like, Mimi, could you choke me? What? And he goes, I'm doing the George Floyd challenge. So I hesitantly stepped on his neck and I said, well, if you want to know how he died, I don't know that this is a psychological operation yet. We need to call the medical examiner. I've been to the coroner's office with homicide detectives in LA, and I've covered death really up close and personal. I studied death and dying minored in religion and psychology and took this death and dying class. I remember why now, because I feel that I was part of the funerary process in ancient Egypt, where we used to put myrrh and gold, and we used to usher the body back to the stars over 70 days. And then the system now puts formaldehyde inside of you. Anyway, so I called the medical examiner and they said, it's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks. And then 2 days later, CNN put out preliminary report. And I was like, huh? I was the first to call the medical examiner. They told me. And I just didn't tap out. And then when the Derek Chauvin trial, which I covered every single day for Activist Post and covered it, I was like, shit, I have tons of work of material. So I was doing an active investigation, because boys and girls, real investigations take time. Not this like, oh, Friday we're arresting Derek Chauvin. So I did not know what I was going to find. I didn't tap out. And I also did not know that 3 publishers would mess with me. And I found ties to the Podesta group. I found hush money. I befriended Maurice Lester Hall, who was with George Floyd. I am the only one who's speaking to the guy who shanked Derek. So I've often, Hunter S. Thompson, put myself in stories. But like back in the day, Thomas, when I was still in Hollywood, like I worked on one series called Hollywood Vice, and I was a secret weapon. I didn't have any tattoos. I didn't have a shaved head. And they'd be like, Maryam, can you find us a madam? Can you find us a porn star? Can you find us a pimp? And I found them all. And then I started pitching those stories to Penthouse. But I was looking at the seedy side. I was fascinated with lost souls and like what makes them tick. And I came from Egyptian conservative upbringing. I wasn't Muslim. I was raised Coptic Orthodox. And I guess I was a heretic in the making at 13 years old when I had my spiritual awakening. So it kind of, I didn't mean to do this. And I also didn't know that I was gonna write a big ass book. I'm in the process of doing it for Audible, but I know this is anyone that gets a copy, this is for the future. So as I was joking to myself, I'm going to have my own fucking great reset. As I finished the book, I had this Kundalini awakening. And then I went to do plant medicine, which I had done several times before. The last time I had done ayahuasca was ironically in Corona, California in 2018. And I was told, you're an ancient soul, Maryam, and you are not to listen to anybody else. At the ayahuasca ceremony, and I also did bufo, but at the ayahuasca ceremony, the shaman is like, we've been plagued by coronavirus and HIV. And I'm like, oh my God, the shaman is spreading truth mixed with lies. And a lot of these people are jib-jabbed. And
when you say shaman, what, like, was this shaman like a 60-year-old Silicon Valley white guy wearing sandals or what?
No. He is a Native American.
And he was all in on the job. The Native American shaman was like, make sure you get double.
Well, I don't know. I'm telling you that the people, I started after my Kundalini, my frequency was even like, I started seeing people wig out. They either love me, but if you have creepy crawlies or like demons or entities, or they're uncomfortable with the truth and they're living in a fucking denial, they're not gonna like me. If they see the truth, they'll love me. So I could tell they didn't like me there. I made them uncomfortable. But when he said that, I heard, I was on the medicine, you're an ancient soul, you're not to listen to anybody else. And then I started saying, I am that I am, I am that I am. And the back of me was like, why am I saying this? And then the next day, I was just led. Initially, I was like getting messages after the Kundalini, like just hearing. It was awesome. But I found out about the I am presence, and I found out a lot of things. And the book I'm writing now is the book that my soul wants to write. I'm very dedicated to turning it into a Netflix series or some series. I don't care if I have to take my name off, because at some point they'll figure out my track record. But it's a crazy, crazy story. So also, I did bufo in that short time when I had my own great reset. And bufo is toad medicine, and you smoke it, and it's heart. And I heard, you graduated, Maryam. You're done. You were given an assignment to cover the inverted matrix, and you're not going to look at the dark side anymore. You didn't whore out your soul. And I remembered, when I was 13 and had my spiritual awakening, I was so enamored with finding out about the mechanics of the soul and reincarnation. And that's, now I'm focusing on that. And I also realized that I've lived in my masculine, in the sense of being 6 planets in Capricorn, like super ambitious, super career oriented. And I'm not like a chick that's like, a man would be lucky to have me by his side, except I can't find someone that is my level. And also, you can't force it. It's just chemistry. It's not like, oh, if you love me, you'll buy me this car. I don't give a fuck about material things. I care about just the sweet reciprocated love. And I realized that like I told you, I reached the glass ceiling. I'm too good. I'm too good because I'm too honest. And I've proved I have nothing else to prove to anybody. They can go eat it. Whereas before, I think I was in my ego. It's kind of been like an ego death. So I was told that this is for the future. We're all aware of how the Ministry of Truth lies and has rewritten and vaporized a la 1984. So this is not just about George Floyd. The movie is about everything, all the footage I purchased, and this is edited by the awesome Sean Hibbler and co-produced. and I saw what they did to this movie, that it's only like, look, who's going to, DVD old school, because I'm banned on Vimeo. And the conservative outfit said they would distribute it. And then I was like, why aren't they promoting it for the anniversary? Excuse me. And they're like, oh, they just sat on it. My big check was up. Here's $24. So it's only. Thank you. Well, if you think about it, I raised $1 million to make Vanishing of the Bees. It took me a year and a half to raise $15,000 to cover just the costs of the footage I bought from the government and paying Sean. So
did you ever consider maybe having Elliot Page do the narration for the George Floyd documentary? That could have gotten you a lot more backers, I think.
No, I narrated it. And I'll tell you that when I was looking for an editor leading up to Sean Hibbler, that on DocuLink, it's a mailing list for documentarians, that just me looking for an editor, they had some white person, I'm sure, was discussing to vote me because I'm racist, the brown girl. Then I had a veteran, he knew my movie, people know Vanishing of the Bees, a Canadian editor, and I showed him the body cam footage and literally said, I just finished crying. Oh, little white man, you have to go and lay down in your safe space. And said to me, I can't take this project because of ethical reasons. I can't go against the cops. I mean, I can't stand for the cops. So when this has nothing to do with race at all, right? It's just a cover.
Do you see anything that what you're doing between the documentary and the book as standing for the cops?
Well, the Derek Chauvin's trial was a sham show, and
right.
Derek,
which could be true, but does that mean that you inherently now are like a promoter of statism, and that you promote, police departments across the country just because you point out that this particular event could have been a sham?
I hadn't even gotten to that far to say it was a sham. If anything, while we were editing the movie, Sean was more in on it all being bullshit. And I, up until that point, was not seeing the full picture and only could stand by what I could prove as a real journalist. I mean, this is full of freedom of information. This is real journalism. Like, now it's like, I'm a journalist, really? For what?
Well, what was your point of view then when you were originally working on this? And if Sean, shout out Sean, he makes some great material too. But if Sean's the one that's like the whole thing's a scam, it's all like a play and psyop, what are you thinking if it's not necessarily identical with what Sean was bringing?
I believed that the time, I'm trying to think my frame of mind. Well, I couldn't prove, for instance, that they're all operatives, right? Until later, as I was still writing the book. So the film focuses on just the footage. And as I was writing the book, and it's like, oh, Derek went to the School of Assassins. He trained in Germany. Wow. He graduated as a cook.
What's the School of Assassins?
The School of Assassins, SOA, is where they train. They've trained dictators, and it has a very bad name. I mean, I could be more.
Like, is this a place that like we could apply to go to? Do you have to get tapped in?
Well, they changed the name at one point because it had such a bad rap. I don't know if it's open who can apply. If it's still, no, I don't. As he went for special training, which was, I'd like to find it.
So I hadn't heard a lot of this until watching your documentary and then reading parts of your book from some previous times that it's come up. Like the School of Assassins angle is brand new information. Is there anything else?
Well, there's a lot of brand new.
Oh, what else is brand new?
Well, people don't know that they used 3 different George Floyds to make the persona of George Floyd. They don't know that Derek graduated as a cook. They don't know that there was a training day, like very characteristic. The day it was scheduled for the day that they ended up arresting Derek, and Derek was on that training. And when I went to look at who organized this training, it was the Dakota Technical College where Derek graduated as a cook. And okay, so Fort Benning is known as the School of Americas, aka School of the Assassins, SOA, notorious for producing graduates who have been responsible for a list of atrocities during civil wars and military dictatorships in Central and South America in the 1970s and 80s. Over 3,700 Latin American troops, cadets, non-commissioned officers and NCO, and civilians from Latin America and the United States have been trained by U.S. military officers there over the past 50 years. The military educational institution has also trained countless Latin American dictators, death squad torturers, assassins, and coup plotters in SOA's counterinsurgency tactics, psychological operations, sniper fire, and military intelligence. The notorious SOA was founded in the Panama Canal Zone in 1946 and expelled to Fort Benning near Columbus, Georgia in 1984. Mexico is one of the SOA's main clients. So I go into it like, this is how you make the sausage. People are going to learn so much, but because I've said this before, people have George Floyd fatigue. They may not, want to learn more. But I like I said, I found hush money. I found a baby mama that was kept out of the media. I found links to who organized the four funerals. I'm the only one who talks about Cup Foods' role in all of this and who is Cup Foods. So, for instance, I'll just I use George Orwell. In a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. And so some of the chapters: George Floyd, hot off the press. I Can't Breathe is Born Again. A Tale of Two Autopsies. Conga Latin Bistro. El Nuevo Rodeo and Maya Lopez Santamaria. Darnella Frazier, From Snacks to Star. The Summer of Love. Cover Up at Cup Foods. Ozarks on COVID-19. Operation Counterfeit, because I talk about what happened to that counterfeit money. Why hasn't anyone talked about that? The Politics Behind Prosecution. Keith Ellison Revisited. The Sabris, A Sordid Web of Corruption. The Sabris are the ones who owned El Nuevo. Maya was a front woman. Derek Chauvin, off-duty cop, real estate agent, convicted murderer, sacrificial lamb. Hush Money and the Floyd Family Legacy. Oh, this was also the Duty to Intervene live exercise, because it's a multi-layered psyop. 6 Ways to Detect a False Flag Event, The Anatomy of a Psychological Operation, Blood Debts and Human Sacrifice. So it's very comprehensive. It's like a deep state whodunit. And if you know who Daniel Estelin is, because I talk about Tavistock in my book, and he wrote Tavistock Institute Social Engineering the Masses, he writes a pretty rad review on the back. So I did manage to get it on. I rather someone get it from my website, but it is on Amazon, because I'm banned on Amazon. And do I really know whether they're going to give me proper accounting? How would I know?
You can trust them. They're big. They're huge. They wouldn't do anything like that. And I got to ask you, hypothetically, but like, wouldn't it be super lame that you spend all this time and you go to assassin school along with like all of these horrific tyrants and dictators and people that cause these injustices, and then they're like, congratulations, you graduated from assassin school. Now go kneel on this guy's neck for 9 minutes after we give him an overdose of fentanyl. That would be like the lamest sort of assassin assignment ever, right?
Well, I would say it's even more lame that Derek is paralyzed and using a shit bag.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's what I've been told by John Turscak, aka Stranger, who stabbed him 22 times. Because wouldn't you think that Maryam, who has the weapon images and details, that would be Tucker knows who I am. These people know who I am. I'm not saying that arrogantly. They literally know my work and don't want the truth. If look, dude, Thomas, if I say to John, to Stranger, the La MA OG gang member, okay, and I'm like, yeah, there's a movement to free Derek, but why isn't anyone asking, hey, it's been kind of a year and a half. What is the status of Derek? How come we still don't know what the fuck happened? Right? So I tell him he doesn't understand why this brown little girl is she made a B movie. What's the deal? So I sent him my book and he read it in a week because he has time on his hands. Mama B, RESPCT. I learned a couple of things. And so I said, were you socially engineered? Kind of. Is Derek even alive? They told me to keep him alive. Oh, okay. What am I going to do with that information? He goes, Mama B, I want to put you back in the game. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to be in the game. I want to live. And I've done what I came here to do. I'm very accomplished. I've made a seminal movie on bees. I helped raise the consciousness on how important our pollinators are. This is for the future, long after. I know how it is. I buy books on Biblio. The real books, I can't afford. The old books, right? So
well, you do know how it is because you've run into every barrier there could be, and pun not intended, but you run into every one of these different barriers in selling CBD, in putting together documentaries, in investigating hot button topics. Like every single one of these avenues, you've seen like how everything can go wrong, even if you're doing everything right. So, I mean, if there's a rhetorical question about, well, how come no one cares about Derek? Well, it's because, and this is like I'm trying to phrase this as a question, but isn't it just because the public and the media have already decided that even if there were to be a huge trial and they were like, here's a new angle and Derek Chauvin is exonerated, he'll never actually be exonerated because he's already been condemned in everybody's mind, regardless of the court system and the judicial system. And no matter how any of that turns out, and the guy that stabs him ends up kind of, I would assume, becoming like a folk hero among kind of like a very woke section that's like, yeah, that guy got his. And that's kind of history. That's the actual history.
That's
and your book's going to be alternative history.
Yeah, well said. I didn't think about the woke applauding because of the racist angle.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
it was all bullshit.
He
he's
was
calling me right now.
Delivering karma.
The John is calling me from jail right now.
That's great. What a coincidence.
Well, he's been trying to reach me. I can answer it.
Go for it.
Can I?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to tell him I'm doing an interview and I was just talking about him.
Hello, this is a free call from an inmate at the Florence Correctional Center. To accept this call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Hi, I'm doing an interview. They can hear your voice. I was just talking about you.
Oh yeah, is that right?
That's
you can hear my voice?
Yeah, they
can. Everybody out there, I want you to know it's coming all the way live from right here, Florence, Arizona, lockdown. It's a big OG, big stranger, talking to the best journalist slash author in the game right now. Y'all know who she is. She's talking right now. Hey, Moby.
Hey, so do you want to call me back? I don't know. Do you want to say anything, Paranoid American?
No. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. No. I was asking the host if we're not live. So I don't know.
I do. I want to ask
He wants
what's
to ask you something. He wants
what's
to
his
ask.
Yeah,
favorite.
Being right there, because that's really how I feel. And, I just wanted to shout that out. I love
I love you too. Thank you.
Okay.
So if you want
All
to
right,
call me
Fran.
back,
Yeah, great. Just wanted to ask you where with the you're gonna plug it in.
what? Oh, I did download it. But call me later because I'm literally doing an interview. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I
Okay.
love you.
Okay, I love you too.
I'll talk to you sometime later this weekend.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, stranger.
all
Thank
right.
you. Bye.
Have a great interview.
Thank
I wish
you.
the best.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye. Bye. So I want to
Look
say,
at the synchronicity of that. What a crazy sequence of a. So that's your contact, John. That's in jail in Arizona. What's his role again?
he stabbed Derek. Now people might
So we
say
just heard the voice of the guy that stabbed Derek Chauvin just now.
that's correct. That's exclusive. People might be like, how is she telling him I love you to an inmate, a murderer? You know, John Turscak told me, and I could go into his story, but he said, I might be a cold-blooded murderer, but I'm no liar. And I know you're not going to lie to me. And I know I've hung out with gang members on a different series when I was still living in LA. I've hung out with pimps. It's a different world. And this is a la MA, OG, and they did put it in rap songs to goad people. So he did think this is high profile to stab this pig, this racist pig, who's not racist. And, I said to him when I saw the image of Derek, who's very bloated, is that even Derek? How do I know that's Derek? But so I just want to explain to people, like, it's energy, right? You love someone based on energy and you have love for someone. To me, it's your connection. It's not even like as a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Like I told you, like, oh, if you buy me this, if you do this for me, it's all fucking conditional. But in truth, it's spirit and it's energy. So yeah, that was John Turscak, who wants to put me as his media expert. But I told him, I don't think they're gonna. The government described me as a conspiracy theorist, psycho kook. When I tried to reach out to him, that story in itself is how I connected with John Turscak. That is also faded because he was praying for a beautiful, intelligent, courageous, real journalist. And it's unfortunate because it's not the back in the day I could call them the news desk. Now it's woke AF. And he was in a way socially engineered. And Derek is arguably maimed. So why isn't anyone, don't you care, Tucker Carlson? How about you, Liz Collins, who made The Fall of Minneapolis? How come you're not talking about Derek's shitbag? Because they made The Fall of Minneapolis a year after my film, and they saw my film. But Liz Collins, which is a good film, The Fall of Minneapolis, I do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's called Nuance, but Liz Collins is playing the role of me. That's for sure.
It sounds like the trajectory that you're on is you've done some shadow work, right? You've done some, you've kind of like stared into the abyss a little bit. And the next project, it sounds like it couldn't be any more different. Like you're completely departing from the shadow world, from Shadowland, right? You're leaving Shadowland for a little bit, and we're going into Twin Flame. And I please, you have to forgive me, and I apologize beforehand. My only introduction to Twin Flames was the Netflix, like, it's a cult documentary about it. So that is my one and only flame of reference. I didn't even say that. That's my one and only flame of reference to the Twin Flames phenomenon, and that it was essentially like a multi-level marketing cult made by this one very specific couple that like forced people to get together online and charged money. And so that's the kind of mainstream scam point of view of what twin flames is. What's your version of twin flames?
Well, I want to say that I heard my higher self say, as above, so below. As low as we took you and dark, you're going up high, which is where you belong, Maryam, with the light, because I bow to the light. And the dark was swallowing me up like Heath Ledger. And I knew crap about twin flames, even though I've been on a spiritual path. And actually, when I found out that there's a Netflix series, there's a Netflix series. So there's some truth here. There's some truth here because now I know how the playbook works. So if there's a Netflix series, there must be some truth, because the real truth that covers all the other, all that they want to cover is that you have access to innate divinity. God, creator, you have that inside of you. But the religions is salvation outside. Salvation. No one's fucking coming to save you. You have to save you. And so it's a crazy story that right now is not looking so good for me and for Snuffleupagus. But basically I was finishing my book, and because I told you that I was joking that I was going to have my own great effing reset, which I did, but I didn't know that then. I was just like, the point was, I put my development, myself on the back burner for 5 years to try to warn people that this jib jab was coming, that a transhumanist agenda is very much afoot, and then spent 4.5 years. What I know now is for the future records. And so in my book, I do talk about Masons, which I know you know a lot of, and the symbology. But at first, Thomas, it was like kind of rolling my eyes. But by the end of I've bolded 254 instances of 33. Okay. So I started 3 months before I met Snuffleupagus. I started seeing 333 everywhere. And I was like, I had also just watched the Three Body Problem. Have you watched the Three Body Problem?
I have. This is originally like a Japanese show, right? Or Korean show.
Yes. So when I started seeing the 333, I'm like, oh my God, is the Matrix like Augie, the nanoscientist, like they're telling her you better shut down your work or we're going to kill you? So I was like, what's with all the 333s? Okay. So around that time, I was texting with this boy that I wasn't really paying attention to boys. And, but somehow, energetically, I was drawn to him, and I knew things about him. How? I don't know. But so I thought went missing. Like I really thought he was a missing person. I see now that it was my higher self, my soul of like, I just found you. I've been looking for you and now you're missing. But I didn't know this consciously. Okay. So I hadn't even looked at his social media. So I went to look at his social media, and I scanned him energetically, and I was like, wow, this guy is very eclectic and talented. Just a lot of range. So then I saw that he had written a blog about Christianity and astrology. And I was like, this American with guns and tats, like, and wow, that's true. That the Christians psyoped, the way I say it is they psyoped the stars. They stole the stars, and they removed the heavens. As isn't that part of God, the stars? And why wouldn't the stars guide us? So I saw that his blog was 333, Truth Blog. And I was like, okay. And then I went to call him, and I saw that he had 333. I'm still seeing 333 on oven, clock, addresses, everywhere, invoices. And then I said to him, are you a plant? And he said, if I'm a plant, I came from a higher dimension to show you a higher form of love. And he said, it's also on me. So what? You have it tattooed on you? So I've moved now around the building, from around the corner from a building with big 333. I moved without knowing 1.4 miles where he used to live with his wife. And before he showed up, I was feeling into him. I was like, where is this guy? Where did he go? I really thought he was missing. And I was at my desk and I had a spontaneous orgasm. Now, the boys and girls, this is, Kundalini is not about sex. It's been co-opted. It's the snake that the Christians demonified. And it's energy that's coiled up and goes up the spine. And there's a book that's called Kundalini, Transcendence or Psychosis. Ishkov Benkov was arguably killed. He was talking about, it's the Kundalini that prompted.
He wrote about holographic theory too, same guy.
Yeah. But it was the Kundalini of seeing the brain coherence between the right and the left that prompted the gateway experience. The gateway experience mentions him who died. So, and all of this has been remembrance, like getting downloads and then going to look and finding collaboration. So I didn't know what a twin flame was. I had this orgasm at my desk, but I didn't know it was a Kundalini. So I went to bed that night and I'm like, okay, universe, this guy better show up because I need to know if I'm fucking wackadoodle or super psychic. So he ended up resurfacing, and I offered to co-sign for a car for him without ever meeting him, because a year before, I said to myself many times, like, I see myself in this guy, like, but I didn't know what a twin flame is. So there's a lot of bullshit. It's a $2 billion industry, okay? So when I found out that there's a Netflix series, and then I started going to see the influencers, because I was looking, I didn't know what the hell was happening, of all these coincidences, these numbers, and how I was feeling, thinking about him when I don't even know him. I know how I am. Like, I can count the number of people I've slept with on my hands. I'm very selective. I'm very sensitive. And so I was doing an Instagram live, and this woman came and said, I think you found your twin flame. And I was like, what? So I'm very clinical, and I've been writing about it on my Substack, and I'm determined to turn it into because it's a crazy story. But now we're at the part of the story where the car is in collection and I don't know where Snuffy is. And one of the themes that I've been shown is deception of appearances. And now they talk about it on YouTube. But this was like maybe 7 months ago. I said, what the fuck is this? Because I have a telepathic, which I know sounds crazy, but we've been together where we finish each other's thoughts. Oh, I was thinking that too. Like, for instance, the last time I saw him, he's a tattoo artist. He's many things. And I've been meditating on what tattoo I wanted him to tattoo me. So I hadn't seen him for 2 months. And he's like, did I show you my tattoo? Oh, and I'll back up. And I said, that's the tattoo that I drew for you to tattoo on me. So when I met him on the parking lot, and I still didn't know what a twin flame is, and I hugged him, like, for me, I mean, I can't speak for him, but for me, time and space just stopped. It was like, shh. It was so. We came home he took me home, first time ever, in a badass $60,000 Denali that I co-signed for. I was so determined to get this man a car. And I know now that it was my higher self. So we were sitting down and I was making him food. And I'm like, what's that tattoo on your left thumb? And he's like, oh, that's an Om sign. I'm like, oh, I also have an Om sign on my left thumb. Then he told me that he was born with a cord around his neck. And I was like, oh, I was also born with a cord around my neck. And before I met him, I said, are you a lone wolf? I'm a lone wolf. I am a lone wolf. Do you work with your hands? I do work with my hands. So then he left that day. We ended up kissing when he came again. And the first thing I said was, this is not the first time I kissed you. And then he left. And I mean, I'm just giving, broad strokes, but I said, I saw a brown and black dog. And I said, did you have a brown and black dog when you were young? He sends me a Rottweiler. So then I'm like, okay, universe, what was the dog's name? And I can't think about it. It's not mental. So I wrote something down, and then I'm like, Roger? Whose name's their dog Roger? So I said, what's your dog's name? And he goes, Ruger, which I didn't know at the time is a gun. And he goes, you kind of got it right because the O is a U. And I mean, I've seen him maybe 10 times, and it's a crazy story. I wanted to help him, and I did not know that there were substances involved. And just a lot of coincidences. Yeah. So
I mean, this already sounds like one of the things that I think is most interesting about all your projects is that it's definitely not one note. Some people find a niche and they just kind of stick within that niche, and everything that they produce kind of revolves around these very specific topics. But like, I don't even know what to expect. Like, after Twin Flames, who knows what you're going to jump to next? And I think that's part of what makes it so interesting to see what you're going to come up with this.
Thanks, Thomas. I'm, fixing Honey Colony. I'm looking to manifest a business partner because I'm a force and I'm the brand. And I need a hive. A queen bee is not alone. She has a hive, and I'm focusing on finishing this job. The truth is, I'm very much struggling because of all the banning. So I really hope people will buy my book. I promise you it will blow your mind, or read my series about Snuffy, my Snuffy series. I've had people say, I've been following your work for years, but I joined your Substack because I wanted to read about Snuffy. So I can just say the love that I feel for this man is unconditional. And I've been shown a lot of things, but on the 3D, so I said in the ethers, what the F is this? And I heard in a previous life, we signed up for a 3D, 5D split test. And now on YouTube, you could find a lot of videos on the 3D, 5D split test, but I didn't know what the fuck that was.
Is this related to Twin Flames?
Yeah, because what's happening is a bifurcation right now. And this vaccine was to dim the heart frequency grid and humanity, because it's a transhumanist agenda. And it's very much, who doesn't know a vaccine injured people? Come on, a person. And anyone who's not vaccinated has told me, hello, anybody home? I'm just doing my job. But there's no, where is your depth? So in conjunction with the age of Aquarius that they've long awaited for, there's all these solar flares that are coming down, and light is information. And we're living in a loosh farm. And so it's about your frequency. And if I had not had this Kundalini, and then when Snuffy kissed me, my heart turned on. I realized how dark, the dark can swallow you up, right? What you focus on, you find. And this was dark. The past 5 years have been dark, unless you're an ostrich and you don't feel. So the twin flame is very appropriate because I went to see, even in Hollywood, there's a lot of twin flame movies like Hancock. It's really a twin flame film, but they bullshit and they say that together, they can't be together. But the truth is, a man and a woman together with their heart, divine love. Where is the divine love? Now it's diamonds instead of forever, right? It's bullshit. And it's all to take you away from your own divinity and to go, you said I've done shadow work. I've looked at the dark side. I've done shadow work. I'm very well aware of my PTSD. I'm looking at what are my beliefs, what are my micro beliefs. I've been doing work on myself. It's like when I almost died, when I was hit by the SUV, when I was 29, I heard no this seton, know thyself. And I was told you have an opportunity to learn your lesson so you don't come back. And I wrote in my journal 2 years ago, this is my last life. I mean, not sure how that looks like exactly, but I know you can consciously die and you don't go to the light at the end of the tunnel. And that my book is about quantum physics. It's about twin flame, unconditional love, reincarnation. Like, because of Snuffleupagus, he inspired me to get 50 plus books. He triggered an awakening. And the irony is my books are housed in his bookshelf. He brought, so these are one of the many books experiencing reincarnation, and very Capricorn of me. So I'm doing the book on Substack. I'm on part 31, and then I will take it and embellish with a lot of the notes that the research I'm doing, of getting old books on reincarnation, on the Age of Aquarius, on quantum physics. And when I told Snuffy about my book before we met, he said, "Oh, they're going to turn it into a movie." And I knew they're not going to turn my book into a movie, but we've called things, and I think it's this story that I'm going to turn into a movie. And I've been praying, because the 3D, 5D split is the 3D, the matrix, very material shit, and then the 5D, right? So let's say you have a relationship with someone. There's the silent stream of stuff you don't talk about in the 5th dimension. And it's coming to the surface now. Like, in the past 2 weeks, I've had 2 different people, they don't know my work, or like, "I really like how honest you are." Really? Like, this is not the way people are? No, it's not. They're fake and gay. And this is the future, to have a high frequency and to be authentic, not fake and not disillusioned. But not everybody wants to look at the truth, and there is divine truth. There are absolute truths.
Well, we're going to put all of your links to all your books and your documentaries and all your products, not the fake and gay links. We'll put the real links in the description, as always. And I do recommend that everyone support all of the incredible work you do. Go watch a large variety of different types of books and projects that you've worked on. Before you get out of here, though, there's one little segment that we're going to have to do, and it's going to be fun. We're going to leave it on a light note. Let me just play the intro, and then I'm going to describe what's going to happen to you.
Hey, conspiracy buffs, I double dare you to take some PCP, the Paranormal Conspiracy Probe. On your marks, get set, and go!
Okay, the rules are pretty simple. I'm just going to mention a certain topic, and I want you to just rate it from 1 to 10 on how much you believe in that topic. So, like, for example, if I said psychics, if you went into like a little shop and you're like, "Tell me my future," what would you rate that is an actual possibility from 1 to 10?
4.
How about Bigfoot?
7.
How about flat Earth?
5.
Tartaria?
9.
Shape-shifting reptilians, like David Icke style reptilians?
9.
What about little alien grays?
7. Why little? Oh, because they're littler. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess they could be tall. There's tall versions. What about dinosaurs? The way that we've been taught, like if you went into the Natural Museum of History and you see like the big bones, on a scale from 1 to 10, how accurate is that?
3.
How about
dragons? Are real. No, 9. 10. Dragons are real. Dinosaurs are fake.
How about demons and angels?
What about them? What do you mean? Were they real?
Like rate demons from 1 to 10 on how real demons are.
10.
So I would assume same for angels, also a 10. What about chemtrails?
10.
How about this statement, which has got some qualifiers in it, that a human being has stepped foot on the moon in the last 100 years?
0.
Any human being. 0. How about that Stanley Kubrick specifically?
I'll bring it to 3.
Okay, if that gets a 3. What about Stanley Kubrick specifically directed some of the footage that gets broadcast and seen as moon landing footage?
8.
How about 9/11 was an inside job?
10.
What about the concept that we should bring insane asylums back?
0. I'd be in there if they came back.
I don't think you're wrong about that.
I don't think so either.
How about Mountain Dew prophecies? Do you know what that means?
No. What is that?
That when Mountain Dew releases a new flavor like Code Red or Pitch Black, that they're really doing predictive programming. Like Pitch Black is going to be indicative of like a blackout, or that Code Red is going to be
7.
indicative.
I've seen some Mountain Dew, and it triggered. I remember some Mountain Dew commercials.
How about the idea that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
0.
What about trust the plan?
I mean, trust your own plan.
Well, I guess this is like a Q reference. This is a Q reference. So I guess I could rephrase that Q is like a real thing.
It was a real thing before it was co-opted. So I don't know, 1.
How about universal basic income is a good idea?
No, I'm a poster child for the social credit system. Seriously.
So 0 on universal basic income.
0.
How about we should arm teachers?
No, I don't know. 1. I think, my answers are based on whether I've looked into it myself, and armed teachers. No, ideally, no. We shouldn't even have there's scan. What are they called to scan if you have guns now in school?
Yeah, the metal detectors.
Yeah, metal detectors. Yeah. No, I mean, if he or she wants to be armed, I don't know. It depends on the state, right, and the the regulations.
Well, I guess there's been very hypothetical talk, and I'm not even talking about proposed legislation, but hypothetical talk that like teachers might even be armed mandatorily. Not just that you're allowed to, but that you must. Like you have to be this last bastion of defense in case something does pop off.
No.
That's all for the 1 to 10 questions. Let me just ask you a departing one. It's a little bit deep. Is there an unforgivable sin?
I mean, that's hard to just answer. Stupidity. I don't know.
That's a good answer. I actually like that a lot.
Yeah. I think everything is on an individual basis, and people can be redeemed if they admit they're wrong and they repent. So, yeah. I want to say that I also have my show on Fridays on Rumble called Truth Lives Here that I invite people to join. I'm not doing vaccine safety. I mean, I'm still exploring health and wellness and biohacking, but I'm mostly sticking to metaphysics now. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was a fantastic response. I'll link to your show as well. You should definitely watch those on Fridays and all the other appearances that you've been on. I want to thank you again for spending time with me, Maryam, Henein, and go watch all the links, watch all the things, go watch her show, and have a great night. Thanks again for hanging out with me.
Thank you, Thomas. That was awesome. Thank you.
Ready for a cosmic conspiracy about Stanley Kubrick, moon landings, and the CIA? Go visit nasacomic.com.
nasacomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Go visit comic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. About NASAcomic.com, go visit NASAcomic.com. Go visit NASAcomic.com. Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
Never a Straight Answer is a 40-page comic about Stanley Kubrick directing the Apollo space missions.
Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
This is the perfect read for comic, Kubrick, or conspiracy fans of all ages. For more details, visit nasacomic.com.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Matters not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when a beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.